familiar fall of faltering footsteps follows behind him. The shuffling echo ceases abruptly each time Doc breaks his stride, but he knows from experience that if he turns around, he'll see only his own shadow stretching from sidewalk to sidewalk like a black chasm opening in the middle of the street. So he just keeps on walking, and the ghost follows him all the way home.
Well, I'm here with singer, songwriter, occasional actor, and now author of his first novel, Steve Earle. Steve, welcome to Psychobabble.
Hey, how are you?
Good to have you here. Now, I mentioned first-time novel, although you did do a collection of short stories called Doghouse Roses about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to report the man can write.
Well, writing is like, I'm a songwriter, and I have been for a long time, and I've done it long enough that I started young enough that I feel, I'm pretty good at it, and I don't, doing this, it's tougher, for me, because, I learned a long time ago to tell a story with a beginning and a middle and end in 3 or 4 minutes. And,
right.
And just slowing down, how fast you give things up, becomes like an issue when you're writing long form. And now I've written, there's the 11 short stories that I published. I've written a play since then. And I worked on this for the last 8 years, off and on. And it is off and on because it's not my day job. So
okay, right.
Makes it take a little bit longer to complete.
And I'm guessing, just guessing on, I haven't read this one yet. I did read the short stories, and I'm guessing Steinbeck is an influence?
Well, Steinbeck's an influence, probably, everything from Carlos Castaneda to, the Shakespeare poets. This ended up being, I don't know, kind of a Harry Potter book for adults when it was all said and done. It's like all kinds of stuff happened. It started out to be a pretty simple ghost story about Hank Williams' ghost and haunting a heroin addict, defrocked doctor in San Antonio, Texas in 1963.
That old story.
Yeah, well, San Antonio is where I'm from, and I am a recovering heroin addict. So, they say write what you know. So.
Well, and you meet a lot of characters in recovery. You meet a lot of characters who didn't die in recovery.
Yeah.
So now, do you meet people and go, oh, this guy's going into a story or this guy's going into a song?
Well, not consciously. I think it's just I live in New York City now for the last 6 years, and one of the reasons I live there is I think you get older and you want to keep writing, then you need more input, and New York City definitely amps up the input. I don't understand people riding around on the subway with earbuds and you're like missing the songs.
Right.
And it's it's just there's stuff going on around you constantly. By the same token, I wrote part of this book in Barcelona because a friend of mine had an apartment there, and I went 3 different trips when I was working on this book, worked on it some there. And it was helpful sometimes because I had a story I was already telling to be someplace that I didn't understand what people around me were saying. But
nice.
After a while, I think if you lived in a place like that where you didn't understand everything that was going on around you, I think it would start getting hard to write eventually because you'd lack input. You got to have input to have output.
Well, and you've also kind of defueled the whole myth of great writing and great creativeness relies on alcohol and substance abuse. You're more prolific than ever these days.
Well, I never believed that, I don't think. And I think that it just doesn't make any sense. Anything I can do loaded, I can do better sober. And I've believed that for a long time. I think I always believed that. I don't think I ever believed I was enhancing my creativity by going around loaded. There's been a lot of writers who were addicts and alcoholics, but there's been a lot of carpenters and painters that were alcoholics and addicts too.
Absolutely. Now, and you released a CD of the same title to coincide with it. Is this a companion piece for the book?
Kind of, but it wasn't intended to be. It was I didn't. The book was always called "I'll Never Get Out of This World Alive." I recorded the song, the Hank Williams song, which is actually available on the iTunes version. You have to do that nowadays. We used to make records for girls. Now we make them for nerds. There have to be all these different versions and everything. But it's not. Basically, after I'd finished the record and sequenced it, and T-Bone Burnett produced it, and we were listening to it, and I ended up. It dawned on me that these songs were about some of the same things in the big picture sense that the book is about, and just decided to go ahead and name it the same thing and attempt to capitalize on the confusion.
Nice. Well, now speaking of confusion, you've also, I mentioned you did a little acting. You were on the greatest television series ever produced, The Wire. Any plans to do more of that sort of thing?
I'm in Treme, which is
Right.
David Simon's new series, and did a lot more this year than I was last year. And I was in a feature called Leaves of Grass that Tim Blake Nelson wrote and directed. I have an agent for that and can intend to pursue it because I learn a lot. I've been lucky. I get to say, so far I've been able to say words by really good writers the whole time I've been acting. So you learn a lot about writing from that.
Well, you're a really good writer yourself. I'm not going to take any more of your time. I know you're a busy man with a signing to do tonight. I want to thank you, Steve Earle. Check out the book, check out the CD, check out Treme, and you'll be coming back soon for a concert tour?
Yeah, we'll be in Chicago, I think, sometime in July, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's the Vic, but
Very
you can
nice.
check the website for that.
Very nice. Steve Earle. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks.
Very nice.
And by the time Hank's voice crackled from the speaker, it was too late. There was no escaping now. No matter how struggles strive, I'll never get out of this world alive.